Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Whether you are here with us in person or joining us on the live stream, Hine Matov, it is so wonderful to be together on this Shabbat evening. It's been a pretty serious week for us as Jewish people. We observed Yom HaShoah a few days ago, Holocaust Memorial Day. And as we mourned the lives of 6 million of our people who were murdered for being Jewish, many of us in our community and amongst our colleagues couldn't help noting that there are too many parallels between the time of the Shoah, the Holocaust, and today. And it's a reminder that our lives have never been free of antisemitism and how pervasive some of those stereotypes and hatreds can be. But reflecting on this week, Shabbat has come again, and part of being Jewish is being able to bring in the joy and the sweetness of Shabbat even as we struggle with the chaos in our world. So tonight, it is bittersweet to have a speaker about anti-Semitism, but we are so thrilled that Dr. Ayal Feinberg is here to teach us and share with us as we continue the work that our ancestors did of navigating this world, which doesn't always love us or tolerate us, but it's still a world full of joy and beauty and of blessing. And Shabbat reminds us to find that joy and beauty and blessing. And if we can't find it, then we create it for ourselves. So just as our ancestors did before us through their trials and tribulations, we will light our Shabbat candles and rejoice in its beauty and its sweetness and create these memories and this legacy for those who will follow us. I am so honored to again welcome Dr. Ayal Feinberg to our temple and to Jacksonville. It's his first time here, so you can welcome him to Jacksonville as well. Yeah, you come on up. His whole bio is in your service pamphlet, and rather than reading it aloud, I'll cede him the space to share his words. But Dr. Feinberg currently serves as the director of the Center for Holocaust Studies and Human Rights at Gratz College, and that's how we met. Dr. Feinberg also pioneered and oversees the first ever academic course of study in anti-Semitism, which I happen to be fortunate enough to be a member of the first cohort. So that's how I met him. I learned from him, and really almost about a year ago after I took his first class, I said, you really have to come here to Jacksonville because we need to learn from you in person. So I am so thrilled that he is here and that he'll be teaching us all weekend. Thank you so much, Dr. Feinberg.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to take that as we can hear me even in the back. Okay, great, fantastic. Thank you so much for the very warm welcome, both literally and figuratively here in Jacksonville. It's really an honor to join a congregation that's so deeply rooted in Jewish continuity, community, and conscience. Of course, it's also home to my favorite rabbi, and that helps. We are living through an extraordinary moment. Extraordinary not in the sense of inspiring, but in the way that shakes us from complacency. This past year and a half has been among the most painful and disorienting in modern Jewish history. Since Hamas's attack on October 7th, the deadliest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, we have witnessed what can only be described as an explosion of anti-Semitism across every sector of society. In our social media, in our cities, in our workplaces, and perhaps most disturbingly, on our campuses. The progressive spaces that many Jews helped to found or were foundational to, the places, the groups, the institutions, the movements often at the core of our identity are to many unrecognizable. It's incumbent upon us to stop investing our time and our resources in approaches to countering anti-Semitism that are not working. Time is not on our side. My lecture on Sunday will review the ways we conceptualize, define, and even measure anti-Semitism in scholarly detail. But for today, I want to impart something quite basic. One can understand anti-Semitism and the moment that we're in by recognizing the principal goal of all anti-Semites. And that goal is to make it harder and eventually impossible to be Jewish. It is much harder to be Jewish today in America than it was 2 years ago, than it was 10 years ago, than it was 30 years ago. This is unacceptable. The current surge of anti-Semitism is not just reflected in the headlines. I myself, I'm a quantitative social scientist, and I spend most of my time with the data. And the data, the empirics, the evidence here is clear. In the first few months following 10/7, the ADL witnessed a record surge of anti-Semitic events and hate crimes. Over 70% of Jewish college students today say that they no longer feel safe on campus. But here's the part that I find most heartbreaking. Beyond the numbers, many of us feel tirelessly gaslit. We've been told that what we're seeing isn't real, that symbols of hate are just mere misunderstandings, that our fear is an overreaction, that our hostage posters are too political, that our yellow ribbons are an excuse of genocide. We are not just living through a spike in anti-Semitism, but its very redefinition, its repackaging, and in some cases, its rejustification. And so we are faced with a basic and urgent question, one that I'm here to help answer. Who are the experts we're relying on to help us in this fight? For the last 100 years, anti-Semitism has been one of the deadliest ideologies on the planet. But ask yourself this: have we treated it with the seriousness, the scholarship, the strategy that such a threat demands? The truth is, at least until very, very recently, we haven't. Jewish studies, as a field, never prioritized expertise in anti-Semitism. Many leaders and scholars in the Jewish world assumed what we call American Jewish exceptionalism, the idea that as a diaspora community, we have it better than any other community in the world. And the thought was that that would insulate us from the patterns of the past and realities that seemed so far away, like what we saw in London and Paris and Amsterdam. Anti-Semitism was exotic, a relic, at worst, a glitch in the system, not something that required its own discipline, its own credential, its own professional standard. And yet, anti-Semitism is one of the most complex and interdisciplinary phenomena in the world. It demands a fluency in psychology to understand attitudes and radicalization, sociology and political science, my training, to understand structures and movements, communications to analyze the spread of hate online and the power of rhetoric, and of course history, to understand how old tropes evolve and endure. So let me ask the question again: who are the experts in anti-Semitism? I recently attended a convening at a school in New York that many of you have heard of in the news. And it was a convening of dozens of scholars focused on anti-Semitism, many brilliant, most deeply committed. And yet the two main takeaways from this gathering were, one, we need to do a better job of defining anti-Semitism, and two, we need to build a wall between our research and Jewish advocacy to ensure our scholarship and our expertise is taken seriously. Let me be very clear. That's complete garbage. We cannot define our way out of this crisis. Definitions are important, but how could we seriously prioritize them at this moment? Why should we focus our attention to motive while ignoring the horrific consequences? This is a luxury no other targeted group affords, but for Jews, it's expected. And the idea that researchers should detach themselves from advocacy, imagine if that were said in gender studies, or racial justice, or climate science. It would be rightfully condemned. This is why I believe we have to build something new, not just reform old institutions, but create a discipline specifically designed to understand and to counter antisemitism with the rigor and the urgency it has long demanded and certainly demands today. That's what we've done at Gratz College. I'm really proud to say that in April 2024, we launched the first Master's in Anti-Semitism Studies in the United States. Today, we have over 30 students in that program, including religious leaders, educators, social workers, lawyers, campus professionals, people on the front lines that are now equipping themselves with the tools and training to make a real change. People like your rabbi. Our students are designing campus interventions to support their peers and colleagues, creating effective anti-Semitism curricula that go beyond simply Holocaust memory and tackle contemporary hate. They consult with organizations and policymakers to make sure anti-Semitism is not an afterthought, but a central concern. As of Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we took the next step. We launched the world's first PhD in anti-Semitism studies. So if I look a little bit tired and disheveled, I came straight from Philadelphia where we were doing that launch. I want to make something abundantly clear. Our program is built not just to understand anti-Semitism, it's built to reduce it. Through original empirical research, through real-world application, through collaboration with communities like yours. But here's the thing. This is not just my work. This is our work. And we need partners, synagogues, educators, concerned citizens, to help us build the foundation we never had, but we so desperately need. If we can make the Negev bloom, we can make the current desert of anti-Semitism expertise into an oasis too. Together we can elevate our standards for what qualifies as expertise. We have to demand it of our Jewish organizations. We can train the next generation of leaders to respond with knowledge, with nuance, and with strength. We can teach them how to employ rigorous assessment on the interventions that they employ. We can, and we must. Together, let's make Never Again not just a trendy slogan. Let's make it a field of study. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the next few days of learning as we take all of these ideas and continue to troubleshoot making these dreams a reality. So thank you so much for all of your work, not just this weekend, but all that you do for the American Jewish people. Thank you.